I feel like our summer kind of served as a continuation of the spring. So I'm not sure how everyone's spring schedule looked, but we had kind of dismissed for the last quarter of the 1920 school year. So our team spent a lot of time over the summer kind of continuing the work that we had started this spring. Specifically from a student safety perspective, one of the biggest changes that we had made was we had actually brought email online for our elementary students. We had been in a process of one-to-one. We were one-to-one 6 through 12. One-to-one K through 5 was new for us, or going to be new for us for this school year as a result of COVID. And so a lot of it was about bringing on online support systems to go along with that. So, while we had been a G Suite district, and while we had been using G Suite to some extent with those lower grades, email had been disabled for those students. So bringing that online was I don't want to say a challenge, because technically it's relatively easy, right? But all the associated things that go along with that, and specifically from a security perspective, which is what had driven that to have been turned off for elementary students over the last several years. So that was kind of a fun task of thinking about what we had done at a level that was appropriate for secondary students, and then applying that for a younger audience.
Now you said, so you have email open K-12?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we still didn't turn on our elementary. Well, our K-3 still do not have email on, just because of security. I mean, we have all the security where they can't email out of the domain and everything, but we don't even want them emailing each other because they need some more training before we allow that. So we do, but we do have the other students on, and we do monitor email several ways, just because, you have the kids, you just want to make sure they're safe. So that's one of the most important things, is that we wanted to make sure our kids were safe and that the parents felt they were safe. Because, a lot of the parents have not had this online experience. And
Right.
We also, from the spring to the summer, just kept going. We had some kids that still went to school during the summer, so we continued to do remote learning. On the IT side, we did increase our bandwidth because we just knew that more devices would be used within district, and we too became a one-to-one district overnight because we didn't have a choice.
You know what, Janice? I'm actually glad you said that. So what we did was we did a continuum as well. We were not one-to-one, but somehow, I don't know, I actually got a grant in March to be able to get the rest of the 700 devices to make us one-to-one. But one thing I thought was really, really important, when we started thinking about staff and we started thinking about teachers, we had to actually focus on the parents. I think when parents, this was a dynamic shift for everyone. So we actually opened up something called a Genius Bar. And at the Genius Bar, we're able to service parents to help aid them to better assist the kids. And then we are a G Suite school district as well. So our students do use it. And the biggest thing was training the teachers to be able to extract that information from SIS, and they had to go through a validation process in order for us to be able to release it. But I think it's really, really important. Like I said, like when we got all the teachers learning, but the parents have to learn too. And the parents' success is just as valuable as the students. So that's what kind of led to our Genius Bar.
I agree too, Teri, that the parents are so important. I'm sorry, Craig. So we had parent boot camps all summer, and we are continuing to have parent boot camps because the parents definitely need the support, need to understand, especially there's some tools that we are only using now because of remote, so they've never seen them, and the students are just learning them, so it's really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll piggyback both off what Chris said and everybody else here. Is really, this is a continuation from March when we went out of school and coming back. So one of the things we implemented this summer, a couple things. One thing is we implemented for staff is an opportunity to come in and do a tune-up. So we hadn't seen some of their laptops for a while. They were still kind of reeling from, how do I do all this stuff again? So come on in for a day. We'll spend some time with you, get your device tweaked if you needed to a little bit. We'll do a little bit of training on one-to-one. And then to piggyback off of what you said there too about training for staff and students and family was one of the key things that came out of surveys that we did to understand what were the needs that are out there. And the biggest one out of that was families, how they need access, how do they do things. And then as well related to that a little bit is consistency. So we are using the same tools now across the board, so that families at K and First and high school kind of have the same idea how they work. So I'm not working with this in Mrs. Johnson's class and this with Mr. Larsen's class. It's different in regards to how I'm doing things online. So doing that alignment has really helped us a lot there.
Our guys had to do some rewiring our classrooms as well, because we had to have our teacher safety bubble in the front of the classroom. And a lot of our teachers, you know, had their devices in different areas of the classroom, and connected to our interactive boards. We have an actual desktop. And so we had to do some rearranging that way as well, just for both student and staff safety.
You know, I think what Craig said was really important too, regarding the consistency of the tools used, because I think one of the challenges that we probably all faced this past spring too was all the various vendors coming out and offering the free trials. And it's like, well, how do you tell staff no when you know, especially a product that you may have been using the freemium version is now free. But I think it was nice because we were able to use a lot of those free trials from the spring to figure out, you know, what tools were going to be most impactful for our teachers and for our students. And from the information we gathered from that, you know, that was a change that we were able to make over the summer, where we were actually able to go out and secure some additional subscriptions for a couple of products that the teachers really found beneficial, you know, from the spring.
But Chris, next time you need to say no, make a meme with my face and I'll say it for you. No. But anytime you have to say no, I think it's very important that we come with a viable solution. It's one thing to just say no, but don't have a solution in place. Like, even we did something that nobody in the state of Missouri has done for Normandy School District, which is migrated with a company called Audio Enhancement, be able to put cameras and mics inside of the classrooms, so students, even though they're at home, they can still have that interactive feel like that they're in the classroom. And I thought that was really, really important, because you have three types of learners, right? Some people are visual, and some people really need to feel like they're inserted in the class. Others, you can DM them, but come on, you have to make sure there's something in place for every child as well as the parents. And I think that's been the toughest challenge, but we've been able to get through it.